Hey team, this is Grant David Collins, and welcome to Giving is a Skill, a grassroots giving podcast where ordinary people like you and me learn how to create meaning, impact, and connection with our time, talents, and money, regardless of the amount. On this episode, we're digging into part 2 of our series on family giving, so let's get started. I don't know about you, but I am absolutely stoked about Thanksgiving being this week. So I am sitting in my basement in my studio, and I'm practically smelling my father's homemade stuffing. It's a generational recipe, and my goodness, it is absolutely incredible. I wish that all of you could try that stuffing. But regardless of where you're at or what you're looking forward to in terms of Thanksgiving, I hope that you are looking forward to just a wonderful week. And I'm excited for us to be able to jump into what we get to talk about today and really build off of our episode from last week, where we talked a lot about the topic of individual giving within the family. And if you haven't listened to it yet, we really focused in on the challenges and the opportunities of giving within your family, as well as sharing a few suggestions that can help steer anyone towards seeing the family as the ideal setting to start your personal giving journey. So if you happen to miss that episode, I would just encourage you to go back and listen to it before you get to this one. Now, in this episode, part 2 of the series, we're going to expand the idea of giving to include the family as a whole and focus on the benefits of developing a culture of giving. So to start things off, let's define what family culture is in a way that we can really be around throughout the rest of this episode. So according to my definition, family giving is the shared set of beliefs, values, and behaviors that a family subscribes to. You can basically think of it as the sum of what you and your family think, say, and do together. And although a family's approach to giving will just be one piece of the overall cultural pie, we've got to get all the Thanksgiving references in as much as we can today. This piece has a unique ability to substantially expand the good a family creates generationally. In 2018, Fidelity Investments commissioned a study of 3,000 consumers to discover in part what the impact of family giving traditions are on the generations that come after. So here are a few things that they discovered as they went through this study. The first thing is that those that are involved with families that have a strong giving tradition are more likely to give more monetarily, are more likely to spend time volunteering, and are more likely to have closer and happier family relationships. Now, if that isn't what the doctor ordered for Thanksgiving, I do not know what could be ordered. Now, another interesting finding that the study showed was that as a society, we are now allowing more input and collaboration when it comes to giving in the family. The amount of respondents who said that their family's giving style today was more democratic than the family style that they grew up with nearly doubled from what it was when the respondents were growing up. That's a pretty substantial change and a change in the right direction to really help families work together to create good in the world instead of just kind of being a cog in the wheel. Now, I've never met a parent who doesn't want their children to be involved with creating good in the world. And this study seems to suggest that a parent's example of giving truly influences their children's lifestyle as well as improves family relationships. Now, the challenge that this study brings to the surface is that there seems to be this sizable gap between saying and doing when it comes to giving within the family and creating this culture of giving. Now, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I absolutely can in terms of, I often talk a big game, but sometimes I'm not as good at following through. And that is exactly what was found in the study. Nearly 93% of respondents said that they believed it was important to teach children about giving, but this number dropped by almost a third when respondents were asked if they themselves had an active tradition of giving in their homes. So it's kind of this classic case of, do what I say and not what I do. So the question that we want to work through and talk about when it comes to establishing this culture of giving in our families is, how do we make sure that our families do not fall into this trap? Well, I have 4 suggestions that I want to talk about briefly that you can think about in this week that is leading up to one of the biggest family holidays that we celebrate here in America. So the first suggestion that I have is to establish a giving intention within your family. The best way to bridge this gap from saying to doing is by creating a stated intention. If you are a leader in your family, especially for those of you who are parents, taking the time to get clear on what you want when it comes to giving really can make a huge impact in developing this culture of giving within your family. Now, my second suggestion kind of builds on the first. And the second suggestion is talk about giving with your family fairly often. Once you get clear on your giving intentions, set aside some committed time to share them with the rest of your family. Creating this planned time to talk about helping those around you really lets everyone see how important it is to the family as a whole. Now, additionally, it's important to take time to have spontaneous conversations and point out examples of giving in the real world while you are out and about. And doing this creates a giving culture that both has formal and informal communication touch points, which just makes everything that much stronger. Okay, number 3, get out there and do something. Now, once you have a giving intention in place and communicated, getting out there and doing something becomes the next logical step. And, it can either be a planned activity, something a little bit more spontaneous, or maybe you simply want to add giving as a stated item on your family's monthly budget. You could hit 2 birds with 1 stone and teach the kids about a budget and where you are putting your funds as a family, as well as enforcing this concept of giving and doing it intentionally. Whatever it is, intentions really only mean something when they are acted on. Now, the fourth and final suggestion is one that I came across while I was doing research for this particular episode, and I thought it was really awesome. Like, the first 3 kind of go with each other. They don't have to, but this fourth one really kind of pulls in everything that we have talked about so far, but does it in a really interesting way. So number 4 is to provide kids with a giving allowance, which I'd never really thought of before, but it makes a lot of sense because too often we really stunt kids' giving growth because we plan everything for them when it comes to service. So by providing a child with a giving allowance, you can help them develop the whole giving muscle and not just the action side of the equation. Holistic giving is what the world really needs a lot more of right now. And so the sooner that a child can grasp this, the better for everyone and, frankly, the better for the world that we live in. Now, doing just one of these things can have a major impact on the culture that you are establishing within your family. But in my experience, each of these items is reachable enough that you could really do all of them. But, take a measured approach with your family. Doing something or starting out is better than just sitting on the sidelines. So often we look out into this world of ours and see the challenges that so many people are facing and feel really incapable of ever helping out. But my experience is that when families develop this culture of giving, the culture really provides a place to practice the skill set of giving. And then little by little, everyone in the family gains the confidence and ability to begin to make a difference in the world around them. Culture is really this tie that binds a family together. And from my perspective, there is no better way to do that than by giving. So I want to close off this episode with something that I am doing with my family that everyone listening to this podcast could absolutely get involved with. So as a family, we've decided to assemble hygiene kits for a local food pantry after we finish eating our Thanksgiving dinner. And, if you're looking for a way to kickstart your family's giving culture, this could be a great entry point to come together and really coordinate with your family to get the resources and supplies that are needed to be able to reach out and help within your community. I'll leave a link in the description to a page that lists the supplies and process just in case you are interested. You absolutely still have time to pull this off. I really hope that everyone that is listening to this podcast today just has a wonderful Thanksgiving with their family. It really is the perfect time of year to establish a culture not only of gratitude, but of giving with the people that you love and care about the most. Well, team, that's it for me. Let's go out in the world and create good with our time, talents, and money in our families as individuals, but collectively building a culture that has everyone just thinking or defaulting to how can I make a difference in this world together. Talk soon.